everyone hear that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Just make sure.
We're good
Okay.
then.
Okay, so for my part, I focused on the question of what are some theories and factors to consider in rewards and motivation. So, rewarding employees isn't as simple as paying more. It's about understanding why people are motivated in the first place. So, our textbook discusses expectancy theory, which explains that people are motivated when they believe their effort will lead to good performance and that that performance will be rewarded with something they value. So, this means that managers need to clearly connect rewards to performance and make sure employees trust that the system is fair and consistent. Another theory to consider is intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. This article I found by the University of Minnesota points out that while pay and bonuses, which are extrinsic rewards, can help in the short term, intrinsic rewards like trust, appreciation, feedback, challenge, that sort of thing often lead to stronger motivation. It also mentions that recognition and development opportunities can satisfy people's need for growth and purpose, which ties to the idea of self determination in motivation theory. And then um, another article I found from the Harvard Business Review adds to this idea through the concept of reflective recognition, which is a way of acknowledging employees by asking them what accomplishments they're proud of, like what they've been working on, what they would like recognition for, and recognizing those moments personally. This reinforces positive behavior through feedback, which connects to reinforcement theory. So, to summarize, these theories show us that effective rewards go beyond money and that motivation works best when rewards are meaningful, fair, and connected to performance and personal values. That's what I got.
Okay. So the topic that I chose was what are some forms of rewards that can be used to drive performance? And my first source is from the textbook. So the textbook says that paying for performance generally has a positive effect. It is important to take into consideration that compensation plays a significant role in four types of behavior: uh, the decision to join an organization, to stay with an organization, to develop skills, and to perform well. Personal characteristics help us to identify which type of reward is preferred by an individual based on their characteristics. For example, risk takers are more likely to want pay that is based on their performance, whereas risk averse people are less likely to choose performance based pay. Um, Individualists are going to want to have a pay plan based on individual performance as opposed to group performance. Paying attention to the way people work in an organization and what motivates them is important to be able to select the best rewards for employees that will continue to motivate them and drive performance. And then the next article that I found is from Hub Engage, and it's 30 creative employee rewards and recognition ideas. And I'm not going to go over all 30. But so in this article, they talk about the importance of employee rewards and recognition ideas that create a workplace where employees feel valued, motivated, and supported. The organizations that prioritize acknowledgement of employee contributions see higher engagement and retention. Um, Rewards and recognition are described in different categories in this article, but I think that both are rewarding and can be used to drive performance in the workplace. So rewards are tangible or monetary benefits provided to employees as acknowledgement for their achievements, contributions, and milestones. These include bonuses, gift cards, promotions, salary increases, and additional benefits that hold financial value. These are direct incentives that encourage employees to maintain high performance. And then recognition focuses on public acknowledgement and appreciation of employee efforts, accomplishments, and behaviors that align with organizational values. Recognition is often non-monetary and comes in forms such as verbal praise, certificates, trophies, or public announcements. They mention monthly, quarterly, and yearly rewards, and recognition options. And a few that stood out to me were monthly rewards. There's a professional development allowance where employers provide a budget for courses or workshops to help employees develop skills. There's quarterly rewards, so that would be like achievement trophies, which are physical awards that are presented for performance. An example of this would be when I worked at Allstate. There was a financial advisor there who would receive trophies for being number one in his region or division. He had them on display because he was proud of them, but they also helped boost his credibility because when customers came into the office, they would see all of his trophies and then want to go to him for financial advice. Another quarterly reward is workplace improvement budget. So employers provide this budget and let employees enhance their own workspaces. A good example of this in an office setting would be letting employees select like ergonomic chairs and desks to make work more comfortable. And then there's annual rewards, which includes education reimbursement, and this covers advanced degree or certification costs. And a good example of this would be the SHRM certification and courses. This is something that I want to do after graduation. And if I had an employer that offered to pay for it, I'd be really grateful because it's kind of expensive. And then there's also custom career pathing, which is personalizing employee development plans to help them grow within a company. And then my next article is from Dash Solutions, and it's employee reward examples to drive engagement and productivity. So this article covers a lot of the same types of rewards that the previous article discussed, but they ask a good question. If an employee is hitting major milestones and only receiving standard employee recognition, how much more engaged would they be if they were receiving a well thought out reward? Probably way more. So they discuss monetary rewards and incentives that boost engagement, and when done right, can make employees feel valued and motivated. Options like bonuses for meeting targets, profit sharing, or performance-based raises or gift cards fall under this category. These types of rewards can increase productivity and employee retention. Performance-based bonuses are another reward to be considered. They can be based on hitting sales goals, meeting project deadlines, or exceeding key performance metrics. When employees know their work is recognized and rewarded, it fuels motivation and loyalty, enhances productivity, and contributes to long-term business success. There's also, they talk about spot awards, and spot awards are a way to engage employees by rewarding them for exceptional effort right when it happens. The example that they give is hitting a deadline ahead of schedule and getting recognition for it immediately. This reinforces positive behavior and boosts employee satisfaction. Um, they also mention professional development rewards, which I talked about in the previous article, um, training opportunities, education reimbursement, mentorship programs, and work life balance rewards. Um, and I really liked the example that they gave for the work life balance rewards in this article. So you can do things like uh, providing a day off for hitting a major project deadline, which will give your team time to recharge. These types of rewards improve job satisfaction and lead to better productivity because employees feel refreshed. This seemed like a great idea to me because if you're jumping from one big project to another without time to decompress, it can cause burnout and hinder employees' performance. And that is all.
I like how you gave your own opinion after, like you had your article, what you were gonna say, and then you gave your own opinion, not just like facts about it.
I agree
Thanks.
with
That was
that.
kind of hard to incorporate that in there.
Yeah, and you used an example that you saw too, which was really good. And I think it is important, like what you said, to make sure to leave employees with direct and indirect compensation, not just one or the two, to keep them motivated and satisfied and morale high and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I like the real world link that you installed in there with the Allstate example. So instead of, just putting a bunch of information out there, you actually had a real experience that you could put out there so other people can relate to. That makes it easier to understand versus hearing just straight facts, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it makes it a little easier for me to talk about as well. So,
Yeah, no, of course. All right, so I can go next. I chose to answer the question, what is motivation? So motivation is the physical, I can't speak apparently. Psychological, not physiological, psychological force that explains why a person does something. It is the driving force behind human actions, according to Very Well Mind, just my source. Is a critical component to consider when discussing compensation because it directly impacts employee performance, satisfaction, and retention. By understanding what motivates people, organizations can design compensation systems that not only reward employees fairly, but also inspire them to perform at their best. Motivation can intrinsic, meaning coming from within, such as a personal growth or a sense of accomplishment, and eccentric, which involves external rewards like pay, bonuses, and benefits. And that source was, I believe, EMS1. Both types of motivation are important considering compensation and how it influences behavior. And three of the main theories of motivation that I included are Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and stating that people are motivated by fulfilling basic higher level needs from survival to personal growth. And according to my source of Indeed, these include that's physiological that time, physiological needs, comfort such as bathrooms, lunch breaks, and a comfortable working environment, safety such as your finding safety in yourself, your belongings, and others being secure. And the next one is feeling loved and like you belong. And then esteem, to feel as you're growing and achieving your goals at the company. And then self-actualization, feeling as you can maximize your potential in this environment. And then the other main theories, the other three, were Herzberg's two-factor theory, in suggesting proper salary and work conditions prevent dissatisfaction, while recognition and achievement drive motivation. And then expectancy theory, which states that motivation comes from believing that effort leads to good performance and rewards. And then equity theory, stating that people are motivated when they perceive fairness in their compensation compared to others. So that's what I got.
good job explaining that one. I was going to pick that, but I didn't know how much information I could find on just like motivation.
Yeah,
But you
no,
incorporated like all of the theories and everything in there. So good job.
thank you. Yeah, seems like it would be kind of hard in the sense of that it's really simple, but it is more nuanced, I suppose. Yeah, there's different theories and stuff behind it, so it's interesting.
Okay, does anybody mind if I go next? All right. So the question that I chose to research is what are some form of rewards that can be used to drive performance or increase performance? So when we're talking about like how employees perform, I think there's three things that are important. There's monetary, non-monetary, and benefits. Monetary rewards like salaries or bonuses, commissions, and profit sharing are direct incentives that clearly link performance to like financial gain, like there it's money. And research shows that they can significantly increase motivation and productivity. For non-monetary rewards, such as like recognition programs, career development opportunities, more flexible schedules, and challenging assignments, target intrinsic motivation and help employees feel more valued and engaged at their company, which enhances their long-term performance if you're an employer and you want your employee to stick around if they're good. And then finally, benefits or indirect compensation, like health insurance, retirement plans, paid time off, like a vacation, wellness programs, and work-life balance initiatives contribute to employee well-being and satisfaction, making them more likely to stay motivated and committed to organizational goals rather than just by themselves. I think if you combine these type of rewards for any company, for any employee, organizations can create like a more extrinsic and intrinsic motivators, encouraging employees to perform at their best and like more. And my sources are our textbook and the NNP Pub Index. It's a website that I found on Google Scholar. And that's all.
I appreciated how straightforward that was. Very clean cut and very easy to understand. So thank you.
Me too.
Gotta keep it simple.
Yeah, it's important to talk. It's important that you talked about how important the indirect benefits are.
Hmm.
Okay, I can go next. So mine that I did was what should we be cautious of in regard to using direct compensation as a motivator? So many, for many, using direct compensation as a motivator, which would be like money, bonuses, the monetary stuff, can seem ideal, but that might not always actually end up being the case. According to this article I found, direct compensation can lead to inconsistencies sometimes. Like, for example, if employees at an organization earn a bonus one year, and then the organization does well, they can afford to reward the employees with different bonuses that might be quite high. But on the other hand, if that company does worse the following year, but employees still did well, the employer might not be to give bonuses out to everyone that deserves, or some of the bonuses might not reflect any extra work put into um, like the job as the previous year once did. This can make employees feel as if their hard work is not being reflected in their compensation, leading to some employees feeling unmotivated due to their work not being reflected correctly by their compensation. A bonus is an extra thing, obviously, and not a requirement, but it can make a huge difference in someone's life. Sometimes they can really be depending and waiting on those, especially if they know that their company does usually give out something like um, on the chance that sometimes employees see that they are receiving less or no bonus, they might decide to work even harder later on, expecting that if they work harder, they might receive a better reward or results. With sorry, instrumentally theory, um, the expectancy theory, workers believe that if they work harder, that it'll lead to a reward that's equal to the work that they put in. So this belief is what the employee expects, but it's not always the cold hard facts. Employers might recognize that the employee is working hard days, but they might not feel the need to reward that consistently. An employer might not necessarily even measure the success of that employee by how much effort or work an employee is putting in, but instead the result of that effort. So, like for instance, if an
I'm so
employee,
sorry to interrupt. I just want you to know the meeting said it's going to end in 10 minutes. I'm
okay,
just letting everyone know. Okay, I'm so sorry.
okay, thank you. Sorry. Um, but so yeah, so if an employer is putting in a bunch of work, but maybe their results aren't really reflecting that because, they're working all these hard hours. Obviously, in some places, they might start to slip up and not do as good as they would have. So, because of that, they might not be making their employer satisfied at that point, and then they might not even really deserve or a reward in their employer's eyes. I think that direct compensation can attract employees, but it does not have the same effect when it comes to retaining them. Direct compensation is considered a short time motivator and reward. Monetary compensation leaves employees to work short term focused instead of being motivated to work for long term objectives. Um, I think a good example of this is like if someone wants a car and they're looking at a sports car or something and it accelerates very, very fast, they might want that car. But for instance, if they're looking at that and then like a giant SUV and they have children and a spouse and they're expecting like twins on the way while living in an area that's very snowy and everything like that, even though they want the fast car, it's not realistic for their life. So it's better to go with something that will be good for them in the long run versus just a nice reward for that moment. And so that's the same with compensation. Everyone wants a large bonus right now, but in the long run, things like health insurance, and as you guys were saying, like sometimes paying for college or education and sometimes job training can end up being a lot more valuable.
If it's okay, I kind of did the same thing, how it's like where the expectation of the employee might not meet the expectation of the employer. So my side was, how can we increase the likelihood of motivating certain behaviors to accomplish certain outcomes? That's a question that I did. So I found some things on motivation using the expectancy theory on Indeed. Expectancy theory suggests that motivation is best when employees believe their efforts will lead to positive performance, or positive performance ratings, such as like an annual review. And then that's value. The employers think that that's valuable to the employee, but maybe not vice versa. So if we can eliminate performance barriers, this can increase employees' beliefs that their effort will produce results, and that would in turn strengthen their motivation. I also found an article on mind tools. And I don't know if you guys have ever been to that website, but it's kind of interesting. They do a lot of studies on psychological things in the workplace. And I learned about strengthening the performance to the reward connection. Building trust in the reward system is important if the employees have the clear understanding of how their performance leads to those rewards, like a bonus or recognition. Motivation could increase, but again, that really depends on the expectation of the employee and the employer. The organization should really be consistent and very transparent with compensation decisions, or it could lead to non-motivated employees if they think, oh, I deserved this much money, or I deserve like a week of time off, and really they just got like certificate or something. So I also found an article on the CIPD website, um, and it's basically just how everyone values different rewards differently. So some might prefer like pay increases or bonuses, while there's prefer career development maybe or flexibility. The organization really just needs to communicate those expectations when it comes to using rewards for motivation within the expectancy theory, because employees may not appreciate their reward and then they don't perform. So that was my portion.
Yeah, I also choose the same question with the Sophia and kind of I agree with the Sophia opinion and I want to kind of add more detail about the answer. So to answer the question, I found that from the website McKinsey, the report in the 2024, they state that 72% employee feel most motivated when their goals are clear, measurable, and regularly discussed with the manager. When employee help set their goal and see a direct link between their performance and the bonus and the recognition, motivation go up even more. Moreover, many companies boost motivation by offering personalized reward, like journal and resources, extra time off to balance health, life, or career growth opportunity. For a tech company reward its sales team after breaking sales record, more morale and improve the whole team's performance. There are some experts in the human resource also say that the motivation is highest when company recognize the employee work. Some prefer recognition, some monetary reward, or some value career development. So in a summary, the expectation theory works best when employees clearly see how their effort lead to meaningful outcomes and the rewards. Yes, this is my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very important that the effort goes with the outcome, and sometimes it doesn't always. So I like how you talked about that.
Yeah, we need to balance and which one is we prefer not have the money only.
Exactly. Okay, did everyone go? Because if they did, I'll stop recording before we get cut off.
Yeah.
It is.